the Lord said to Isaiah, "Go forth to meet Ahaz," and he has a message. Take heed, be quiet, do not fear. He is told not to fear human power, and he is told what to do. He listens to neither, and it will be his undoing. With regard to the way in which he would have been confirmed, there is a play on words in the Hebrew. If you will not believe, surely you will not be established. Actually, it's the same verb being used in two different forms. If you will not stand on the truth, you will not stand at all. We have the root of that verb in our word Amen. It is the root of strong, confirm, make steady and seal. Amen, we say with our prayer, when we place our seal on the prayer, we make it firm. And the Lord uses it in his expressions, Amen, Amen, I say to you, with solemnity and firmness I affirm to you. Well, here we have, if you will not believe, it's the form of Amen, which gives us faith, belief. And then we have, you will not be established, you will not be made firm. Is it not true that we ourselves are rooted and anchored in our interior world? If we believe, we are in some way enracinated in truth. The philosophy of the New Age, plethora of movements, is if you believe it, it is true. You might find that in a situation of a person in severe mourning, clinging to straws. People talk to the dead and get consolation from it. But it is important to believe what is actually factual. We talk to God. We talk to God. We must not seek more of the human to get out of a human disaster. It's an invitation to go up a notch to God, who is not far away and is providing an opportunity for encounter in our poverty, when there's nothing left on earth, but all to be gained from falling into the arms that wish us well. The human lets us down. Relationships leave a soul truncated. Only God does not let us down. One cannot base one's felicity on another human being. It's too shaky. With regard to relationships, if the Lord is in the midst, a relationship will be for life and will be a life project of creating a domestic church. The project of God is inscribed in our flesh, and we are meant to do certain things in a certain sacred context. They cannot be taken out of that, and we cannot just take a little bit of God's goodness and pleasure and joy and ecstasy out of that context and own it. We cannot use bits of God as our own little toys. One cannot then go further and want to seek God's blessing upon our playing and megling and fiddling. It's all or nothing with regard to relationship with our God. And if a human relationship is so strong that God is then used, as it were, to place an apparent blessing upon actually what is outside his divine will, then we're bound to feel deep down that there is something jarring in the universe. We cannot be in peace, we cannot rest outside the divine will. And painful though it may be, sacrifice of sin essentially, is the only way to have access to true spiritual consolation. Otherwise, we are eluding ourselves and we are clutching straws, wanting to bring God on side, and our conscience is deeply, deeply disturbed. Why did Sodom fall? The Lord brings up the question of Sodom in the Gospel. If the mighty works done in you had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. But I tell you that it shall be more tolerable on the day of judgment for the land of Sodom than for you. We know one reason why the people of Sodom came under divine judgment. Usually it's not just one sin, but Sodom has been placed in history because of its association with one sin, and the name has remained in our language. With regard to this, it is rather sad that we can even think that because certain people have a certain fascination and tendency, they have certain privileges, but all use of the genitals outside the correct context is a filching of something from that correct sacred context and from the order of creation. Whatever that filching may be, and with whomever it may be, of whatever sex, it is still out of order. God wants to create new angels for heaven, and the order in which that is done is under sacramental seal and blessing. All we can do is try to riddle around until we somehow catch a bit of that blessing to tranquilize our upset conscience. But it cannot be done. It simply cannot be done. God can only bless what he positively wills. His will is to create a domestic church. And when that is done under his seal and blessing, then there is peace at the deepest level of the conscience. And for the consecrated, it is totally absent, for their consolation is in God alone, who will not deceive us or disappoint us, but it has to be total. Otherwise, we're the most unhappy of human beings on this side of eternity. Dong